I welcome you all to segment 2 of lecture 32. We are discussing about Glamis Gold versus United States case. I am still continuing with the factual matrix of the case, but in the last segment we discussed about the federal measures. So in this segment I am going to discuss about the California measures that were later challenged by claimant in the context of the investment dispute, right, the NAFTA arbitration. Okay, so what were the California measures that were problematic to Glamis Gold? So what we see here is, anyway, the Imperial project was something that was done on the federal land, so federal regulations were applicable. But it was done in Southern California, the deserts of California. So there's this SMARA legislation that's already applicable. I very briefly discussed about it in the last segment also, Surface Mining and Reclamation Act. So basically the provision of this 1975 legislation is that once a mining activity is done, you have to return back the land to the state that existed before the pre-mining activity. So reclamation is the main focus of the SMARA legislation. So basically it wants a reclamation plan, and also it wants us financial assurances that the operator will do reclamation activities, right? So that's the main focus of this legislation. Now what California did was, certain Senate bill were introduced, Senate Bill 483, Senate Bill 1848. So what Senate Bill 483 and 1848 wanted to do was, they wanted to amend SMARA legislation. So for Senate Bill 483 actually focused at the backfiling and site recontouring requirements, especially, and also Senate Bill 483 spoke about, stated that no reclamation activity or no reclamation proposal will be approved by the relevant authorities if within 1 mile from the project there is a sacred site for Native Americans. This is what Senate Bill 483 stated then, and after that there was one more legislation that was also passed, SMARA, Native American Sacred Sites Act, and that also required a certain backfiling and sign contouring and all of that. So you have Senate Bill 483, then you have Senate Bill 1848 also. So Senate Bill 1848 also sort of sought to amend the SMARA Act, but for some reason the Governor Davis actually vetoed Senate Bill 1848 because it gave an unparalleled influence to Native Americans to influence the CQA process, the California Environmental Quality Act process. So here under Senate Bill 1848, you cannot undertake any activities that are against the certain indigenous practices of Native American people. So that was there. So that was what 1848 did. But then 1848 was vetoed by Governor Davis itself. So you could say that Senate Bill 483 without Senate Bill 1848 may be symbolic and all of that. But it's very interesting for us to note the background statements that Governor Davis had stated while talking about Senate Bill 483. In fact, he extended support for Senate Bill 483. While extending support to Senate Bill 483, Governor Davis stated that such a bill is necessary to stop projects like Glamis Gold. He had taken the name of Glamis Gold, and he stated that this bill is necessary to stop the Glamis mining project because otherwise the project would do irreparable harm to sacred sites that were significant for Quechan tribe and other tribal people. So that we can see that he had made such a statement. Then we can also see that one more bill, Senate Bill 22 is adopted in 2003. So Senate Bill 2022 sort of made Senate Bill 483 a law. So it is very interesting. The authors of Senate Bill 22 had made certain observations with regard to Senate Bill 483. If you look at this observation, then we can also see that Glamis Gold was explicitly mentioned. So what did the authors of Senate Bill 22 say? So the authors of Senate Bill 22 in the background note provided that Senate Bill 483 should be made operative immediately because of provisions that establish new reclamation requirements for strip mining operations for gold, silver and other precious metals that affect Native American sacred sites in portions of Southern California desert, and these changes to statute are urgently needed to stop Glamis Imperial Mining Project in Imperial County proposed by Glamis Gold Limited, a Canadian based company. The project is a massive open pit cyanide heap leach coal mine on 1500 acres of public land that would destroy sacred sites of critical religious and cultural importance to the Quechan Indian tribe. Now, Senate Bill 22 again contained provisions that required to backfiling and all of that. So, Senate Bill 22 also wanted Senate Bill 483 to immediately become operative, right. So, with Senate Bill 22 and the provisions that it had, we can know that the Glamis project will not go ahead, even if the imperial project satisfied all other requirements under the existing law. With Senate Bill 22 provision, the any open pit metallic mining projects that will not get the approval. So, that was the situation. So, now what we see here is, we see that the SMERA Act has actually put certain obligations with regard to reclamation activities, because that was necessary in the interest of general public welfare. So, the LAO, the Legislative Analyst Office, found that some of the SMERA provisions were not actually enforced in the context of other mining projects that were already there, and therefore they had asked the Department of Conservation to submit a monitoring plan to ensure that the SMERA provisions are implemented. So, SMERA, the legislation talks about reclamation activity, so that any damage that is done because of mining operation is mitigated. As per the reclamation activity, you have to bring back the land to the pre-mining condition, right. But what this Legislative Analyst Office had noticed was, most of the SMERA provisions were actually not implemented in the context of existing mining projects. So, they wanted a monitoring plan to be submitted by Department of Conservation. So, at this point of time, the State Mining and Geology Board felt that there was a need to come out with an immediate regulation, so that backfilling requirements and site contouring, recontouring happens, and so general public welfare is protected. So, in that context, they adopted an emergency regulation which was temporary in nature, mandating that open pit mining surfaces had to be backfilled and recontoured and all of that. So, anyway, Glamis Gold has been saying a lot of things against the backfilling requirements. They were, if you remember from the first segment, they were not ready to do a complete backfilling with regard to the third pit. They were only ready to do partial backfilling with regard to the third pit, right. So, backfilling requirements were something that Glamis Gold has been fighting against, but this emergency regulations wanted backfilling and certain other measures, it imposed certain other measures, so that SMGB, the State Mining and Geology Board, stated that these measures are necessary. So, if these measures are not immediately adopted, this was an emergency regulation. They felt that if these measures are not immediately adopted, that will leave a permanent scar on California landscape. So, they wanted these measures to be implemented immediately. When the emergency regulation expired, we see that SMGB, State Mining and Geology Board, had actually made a permanent regulations in this regard, and that also received the approval of the Office of the Administrative Law as well. So, it became permanent as well. So, with these regulations and with SP 22, Senate Bill 22, no further metallic open pit mining can happen. So, what we see here is the Glamis Gold brought an investment dispute against the federal measures as well as against the Canadian measures. So, with that we can conclude the factual matrix of the case. These are the essential facts of the case that you need to know before you understand how the case is decided. So, I conclude the second segment here. In the third segment, we will briefly discuss the procedural issues that had come up in the case that with regard to claim of rightness. So, under Article 1110, Glamis Gold had filed an expropriation claim, and then for expropriation claim to happen, you have to show claim of rightness. So, that is what, and then some procedural issues with regard to evidence, submission of evidence, procurement of evidence, that we will discuss in segment 3. Thank you.